So what I tell people right now is who tell me, okay, I want to do this whole freelancing thing. I'm like, okay, what can you do? And if the person finds out that okay, there is nothing you can do that you can sell to someone virtually, go and learn. Don't feel like, oh, hey everyone, welcome to Talk with Onyinye. My name is Onyinye Onyejaka and I'm your host right now. And in today's video, I'm going to be telling you how my journey as a freelancer has been. I hope you learn one or two from my journey. And if you really love what you learned or heard, please like my videos. So let's begin. What inspired me to start freelancing? Really just wanted to make money. I just wanted to earn. And I kind of dabbled. Did I dabble into freelance? I think so. I had friends. I had a couple of male friends who I really looked up to at that time. 2 years ago, that would be about 6, 7 years ago. Yeah. And they were freelancers. They were full-time freelancers at that time. And I really, really wanted to be like them. I enjoyed that at such young age. I mean, they were still in the university then. I was also in the university then. And I loved that they could afford what they wanted to afford. They could, afford whatever it is they wanted. And I really liked that. I like independence. I like being able to afford what you can afford. And I asked the one I was closest to, what's Fiverr? And they were like, oh, you can do it. You can open up Fiverr and blah, 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 blah. And I did. Thing was, I didn't know what I was going to be doing on Fiverr, right? I didn't know what Fiverr was. But he told me, okay, how about you do this? And what I did was, I think that comment, something like that. And I only made $16 from that. Was it $4? I think that was just $4. And trust me, at that point, I don't think they were bought at that time. I would have to go open different accounts and do that. And it was tiring and I just wanted to make money. And of course, I was told what to do. And that's enthusiasm, so to speak, died off, right? And that was when I was still in school. I think I was in my first year or my second year. And fast forward to 2020, no, sorry, fast forward to 2017 or 2018 when I graduated from uni. I realized that I had nothing to do. I was at home and I started Fiverr again. And again, I failed woefully. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no direction. And so I packed up, right? I went for service. I came back. When I came back from service, I tried to sew. I had a sewing business and I had to go to school at some point. I had to go do postgraduate program. And while we were doing the postgraduate program, COVID-19 pandemic hit and we all came back home. In Nigeria, schools were on strike. My school went on strike for I think 1 month before there was shutdown, nationwide shutdown. And so I was home, I was doing nothing, I was just bed. And I mean, it was shut down, so people were not really going out. So I became restless. I called my friends again. I told them, we must seal. And they were like, why don't you start off Fiverr again? And then I started off Fiverr. And at this time, they told me the trick is to find what you're good at. And that was a very big moment of self-discovery for me. I had to go back and, list out all of the things that I knew how to do. Like, what do I know how to do well? What do I know how to do partially? What don't I know how to do? What can I learn? And then I started doing this whole self-discovery process. And it was really interesting because at this point, it's not just what can you do, but then what skill do you have that you can sell to someone virtually, right? And at that point, all I knew how to do was sew clothes, bake cake to the best of my ability, of course. And I had to think inward, like, what else can I do? Guess what? The only other thing I came up with was speak Igbo, right? So Igbo is my native language, and I was like, okay, so how about Igbo? And so I went on to Fiverr and I saw that people were translating English from Igbo, and I put it up, right? Funny enough, people started chatting me up, but it wasn't consistent. It was just here and there. And then you have some months, or months that you will not make nothing. Like there are months, I didn't say months, months that you will not see. Nobody will chat you and ask you how are you alive? Are you dead? And then there's some other months I'm making, at that point I was making as high as $100, because I think my service I started with $5 at some point. So so $100 was like in a month. So that was how I started, and fast forward to now, I am a full-time freelancer. At least at this point where I'm making this video, I'm a full-time freelancer, and it has only been better. It only got better, and I'm really interesting. I've really found it really interesting. So one challenge I faced when early on as a freelancer was confusion. I'd say it's confusion, right? Because confusion got over. I was confused. Now there are some people in this life who have their life around, like they know what they want to do when they want to do it. Some people know this as early as 16, 17, 18. Some others get to figure out, their life at 20, some others 25, some others 32, 35, right? And for me, those years were the years where I did not know what I wanted to do. I would do this, I would do that, I'll start this course, I'll start this course. And at the end of the day, I was so confused. But one way I was able to overcome it, and I'm still overcoming it, of course, is the fact that I just do it. Like whatever it is that comes to my mind, and I'm able to convince myself by myself that this is beneficial to me, I go ahead and do it. So what I mean is that I had a time where I was sewing clothes, I was a tailor. There's a time where I used to bake cake, and I felt like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And there's a time when I even did a whole lot of business. It's not a whole lot. I think I did 1 or 2 businesses when I was in school, and one when I was sewing when I was in NYSC technically. And when I came out from school, I realized that okay, this is not what I want to do. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew that what I was doing wasn't what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, right? So one thing that I did was whatever it is that came to my mind, I started it. So one thing I am very good at, and one thing some people have told me that they admire about me, is my let's say tenacity. The fact that whenever I come up with ideas, I usually go ahead and do them. Half of the time the ideas fail, and half of the time I don't have the full picture of what I want to do. But the fact that I go ahead and do them, I mean, who knows, right? We never really know if something will turn out well except we try them, right? So I feel like that is the only way I've been able to overcome all of the stages that I've passed so far. I mean, well, life is in stages, right? And so far I never really knew that I'll get to this point in my life as a freelancer until I actually started freelancing, right? And I actually say that, I mean, the type of work I'm doing right now as a freelancer, I'm actually good at it right now because of all of the lessons I learned so far doing whatever it is that I've been doing since. I mean, all of the business I've been managing, from this to that to that to this, all of the lessons I learned, the failures and successes that I've encountered over the years have all brought me to where I am right now. So I feel like they're all part of the process. Well, a memorable milestone for me was when I got to my level 2 as a Fiverr seller. It was big. I mean, I didn't throw a party, but then I know I danced. I danced like baby dance. So I know I danced. I was so happy, and it was one of the best moments of my life. Yeah. So how I stay motivated during tough times, because I mean, the life of a freelancer is a very, very risky life. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's challenging, and how I stay motivated is that I keep on learning. That is one thing about me. I always tell myself that, okay, I want to learn. Like, wherever I get to a point where I feel like, okay, I've arrived, I ask myself, how do I get better? And then you see that at that point, I'm at that point again. I've entered another cycle where I'm learning, I'm trying to get better. I'm no longer at, level A. I'm not trying to be a level B kind of person. And by the time I finish learning and then implementing, maybe getting clients and implementing and doing this and doing that, and I feel like, oh well, that's good, and it becomes a little bit stable. I don't like routine. So when things start becoming routine for me, I start asking myself, okay, how do I get better? How do I add to what I'm doing right now? How do I increase my average order value, right? And so I think so far that it motivates me. I mean, it makes me grow. Like it makes me, and for each level, I mean, for each learning process, you get to a new phase, and then that is growth. And then you enter another learning process, and you get to another phase, and that is growth. So all of these things motivates me to becoming a better version of myself. Well, how I adapt, and I mean, flexibility is very important. I mean, because you're working with different clients, different attitude. Some are beautiful, some are angels, some others are straight to the point. They didn't come here to play with you or joke with you, or make friends or be friends, you know. And how I've been able to adapt is take life as I see it. Right, I take life as I see it. So half of the time, whatever it is that happens, I'm like, okay, oh well, that's it. But for me, the only reason why I think I've been able to adapt so far is because I am open to new ideas. I'm open to learning. I'm open to, seeing whatever it is, what this phase of my life has to offer. So communication for me is the best part of working with my client. Communication has been because I think being working remote, when I was starting, of course I've made a whole lot of mistakes. And when I was starting as a VA, communication was one thing that I did not learn so well. And over time, I learned that it's very important. If you're going to work with someone, especially not on a one-time project, but at least for a while, you need to learn to communicate. Even if the person does not communicate, you need to learn to communicate. And most times, if you do, you'll enjoy working with these people, because communication is key, and trust. Most times when you're working with clients, I mean, I'm from Nigeria, and Nigerians already have this bad name to ourselves, and most times their fingers are crossed when they're trying to work with you, and so it takes extra effort on my hand to make them trust you. And one of them is being able to tell them the truth. If I can't do something, I tell you I can't do it. Like, I don't try to take up a job and then try to figure things out. Yeah, there are different cases when you're within your niche, but it's just that you've not tried a particular feature out, tried a particular task out ever. But then there is something different where you're a VA and someone is asking you, do you know accounting? And you just, because you want extra cash, you say yes. So I think being truthful, communicating, and instilling trust in the relationship is very, very key to working with clients. Personally, freelancing is business. So the best part so far for me is that I get to learn. I'm someone who likes to learn and learn and learn. So far being a freelancer has made me that kind of person, right? So I work with certain clients, and they mention a particular software, and I'm like, oh no, I've heard of it, but I don't know what it does. And you see, the next time I am restless, how don't I know what this particular, or how to operate this particular software? And the next week I'm doing that research, I'm learning, I'm trying, I open up an account, a free account, and I want to learn what that particular account, what particular platform does. And so one thing I like about my endeavor and my personal life is that they kind of work hand in hand, because it's growth, right? I'm learning communication skills, I'm learning management skills, I'm learning, a whole lot of skills that are also beneficial for my growth, right? Personal. One piece of advice I wish I learned when I was already starting out, I think best advice was learn. Yeah, because when I was starting out, I started out freelancing as a translator, English Igbo translator, and I did it for a while. And it only took me, it only took the pandemic for me to realize that wasn't sustainable, or for me, I don't know for some other person, but for me that wasn't sustainable. And I wish someone had told me, yeah, it's true, right? At that stage of my life, I knew nothing. I knew nothing. No. What I should have done was investing, learning, finding something to learn. So what I tell people right now is, who tell me, okay, I want to do this whole freelancing thing. I'm like, okay, what can you do? And if the person say finds out that okay, there is nothing you can do that you can sell to someone virtually, go and learn. Don't feel like, oh, this is not for me, freelancing is not for me, it's for people that are like this, or it's for you because you're a woman, or it's for you because you're, I don't know. But then I wish I had started earlier, and I wish I had made all the money that I wanted to make as early as possible, because I actually had to learn skills that will pay higher. So basically, I wish I learned as early as possible.